Welcome back everyone for another session of Functional Skills Maths. Before we proceed with today's lesson, as always, can you scan the QR code provided by your tutor or click on the link that of the URL that your tutor has provided so that we can go through some questions and start off with a starter activity. So today we're going to go through conversions. Our objectives by the end of the session is to convert between metric and imperial units of length, weight and capacity using A, conversion factor, and B, a conversion graph. And also by the end of the session we're going to calculate using compound measures, which will include speed, density and rates of pay. So as a recap, it's very important that you remember the different units of measurement when it comes to length and mass and volume. So the standard base measurement for length is meter, and all the various different versions from meter, you get kilometer, centimeter, millimeter. It's very important that you look at this chart and you are able to understand how to convert from one unit to another. The standard base unit is gram, and from gram how you get kilogram, milligram, etc. Very important. And from the standard base unit of volume, which is liter, what you do to get centiliter, what you do to get milliliter is very important. So spend a couple of minutes if required on this just to get a quick recap before moving on to the following questions, because yeah, if you don't get this right, you're not going to get anything else right thereafter. So it's very important we get this part first correct, because this is the foundational aspect. So to help you recap length, weight and capacity and conversion of units, I'd like you to actually answer all the questions on page 3. So open up your workbooks and look at page 3 and go through that. So what is an imperial measurement? When and where are imperial measures used? Now you've probably come across this word imperial already when you were doing level 1 or in school. And this is obviously parallel to metric measurements. So we have two systems of measurements, whether we measure length, weight or capacity, there's a metric system, and also using the imperial system. So these two different systems, different countries around the world, they usually use one or the other. And sometimes, strangely enough, they might even have a mix of, when it comes to length, they might use imperial, but when it comes to capacity and mass, they might use metric. So more details on that later, but let's have a look at the next slide so that we can actually get the different factors. The good thing is that in the exam you will be told what the conversion factor is, so you don't have to memorize everything. So that's the good news. However, you need to be able to apply this understanding according to the various different worded questions that you'll come across. So let's have a look at this PowerPoint slide here. In the blue, you can see metric measurements, and in the red, you will see imperial measurements. So if you're converting 1 inch into metric, straight underneath each of the boxes, there's something there, and it says to convert inches to centimeters, you multiply by 2.54. However, if you want to actually convert from centimeters to inches, you do the reverse, which is to divide by 2.54. And each of those things, we've got gallons there, we've got kilometers there, we've got liters there, centimeters, miles, pints, and pounds and kilograms. Have a quick look at this for some time and always refer back to it as and when required. There should be a copy of this in your booklet as well. So have a look at this and always refer back to it. This is very, very helpful. And with that being said, go to pages 5 and 6 and complete the work on pages 5 and 6 in your workbooks, please. So here's an example of a conversion graph. A conversion graph is used to change one unit into another. This could be changing between miles and kilometers. For example, miles is imperial, kilometers is metric. It could also be pounds to a foreign currency like the euro or the dollar, for example, or the cost of a journey based on the number of miles traveled. Have a look at the chart, and this is about Terry's taxes calculates the cost of a journey using the following conversion graph. You can see on the y-axis we've got cost in pounds, x-axis the number of miles, and the purple line indicating what the the corresponding cost or distance. So let's do some more practice on this. And in order to get better at it, practice makes perfect. Go to page 8, and on page 8, please complete that entire page. And thereafter completing it, go to the next slide. Now we move on to compound measures. In pairs, research and discuss what is a compound measure. What do you think compound measures means? Well, compound measures are when two or more different sets of measurements and units are used. So, for example, meters, which is a measurement for distance, and that is correspondingly used against the seconds of a minute. So, meters per second. This is an example of compound measures. In order to get more details, I want you to go to the next link. Now here we're going to delve into compound measurements even further, looking at the relationship between speed, distance, and time. There's a MathsWatch clip, and I'd like you to actually go on to MathsWatch, clip R11A. If you don't have the URL link already, then just do a search for R11A, and it is compound measurements. Go through this entire video. This video is really good. Summarizes everything in a very short period of time and goes through certain examples. By the end of the video, you should have a good understanding and a good idea of what compound measurements are. Having gone through that entire video on MathsWatch, now what I'd like you to do is go open up your workbooks, and in your workbook, go to page 10, complete the work on page 10. Page 10 will have lots of questions, and if you can complete all those questions, then that means that you have a fair understanding of compound measurements. So go ahead, do that now, please.